Wow, what a nice intro! Hi guys, what's up and welcome back. This song is so addicting. A few days ago I was chilling with TikTok and since when I heard it, I wasn't able to stop listening. So I decided to make the breakdown because I found some interesting point to discuss with you. You know, it's so hard to speak without going on tempo. Wait, this is my favorite part. Okay, as always, we're gonna craft any element of this song starting from the very 0 point, with a one-to-one comparison with the original. 100% is made in Cubase, no external VST or plugins, but of course you can achieve the same result with your favorite DAW. So let's move, stay creative, and unleash your music! This time I'm gonna have a different approach compared with the previous video, where I took care of the single section as drum, bass, synth and so on. Let's start from the intro, but check the reference first. I hear a reverse crash, a falling synth, a brass section, a piano and some percussions. And of course, a solo sax. Okay, let's begin from the percussions. Initially I thought it was a kind of a maracas or shakers. Then I figured out it's a simple white noise playing a pattern. I was about to open a synth, exclude all the oscillator, add some noise and play the pattern. Then I thought, okay, let's find a more creative way. So basically, I used this plugin called Test Generator. The name is explaining itself. We can choose between different waveform and noises. I go for white noise. Well, it's very noisy, let me exclude it for a moment. And I'm gonna add plugin MIDI gate that will put in communication the trigger source with the destination. Attack 0, release 0 and hold mode not on. My trigger source will be a copy of this shaker track. So I'm gonna assign the MIDI output to the MIDI gate in. And now, as I press a note on my keyboard, you will hear this. And that's exactly what I want. Let's check it with a rhythm pattern. Okay, now let's create the resonance swipe effects. But instead of using a filter plugin, I want to show you how to make it just with the EQ. Let's do that. I just created a sharpened notch. Then I'm gonna automate the frequency band in this way. And I wanna automate the high-pass filter as well, according to the swipe effects. A nice feature of this EQ is the auto gain function that comes very helpful in situations like this. Check without. You see I got huge peaks. And with. Perfect. Well done. Let's move to the intro synth effects. Check the original first. For this sound I'm gonna use Retrolog 2. This is the basic sound. Let me add some effects. So I go to FX tab and I just turn on the reverb, the delay and the phaser. I'm gonna recall the preset Gentle Phase and decrease the mix to 25%. Basically this is a pitch down effects. So I set the pitch bend range values to ±24, means 4 octaves. Another thing I want to do is to control the cutoff with the modulation wheel. And to do that, just go here, right-click on the cutoff, modulation wheel, enable modulation wheel. And that's it. Let's have a global view of the effect we just crafted. Okay, let's focus on the brass section sound. Let's check the reference first. You can notice that the brass section has a very fast attack, very compressed with some ambient. Instead, the preset I chose has a very weak attack, and it wasn't possible to change it within Alien Sonic SC3 editor. Of course, I could have bounced one note from it, put them in the sample track and triggered the start point. But I want to keep everything within the MIDI control. So, the first thing that came to my mind was to heavily compress the sound. So I added that tube, a saturator, a compressor, and an EQ, cutting some low frequencies. But it didn't work as I expected. So I used the plugin Envelope Shaper at the start of the chain and raised the attack all the way up. And here we go, that's exactly what I wanted. Lastly, I put a reverb before the compressor to boost the effect itself. Okay, let's have a quick look to the drum kit I crafted. As you will know, I used Groove Agent SE4. Very basic. We have a kick, snare, hi-hat, shaker, a crash and a reverse crash. We already seen in the previous video how to do that. Just copy the main crash on an empty slot, go to the Simple tab, click Reverse, and of course trigger the start and the end point. For the kick, I used the magneto to boost some low frequencies, a multiband compressor, and a maximizer to further increase the sound pressure. Let's check the before and after. For the snare, we got a multiband compressor, a quadrophase to saturate some frequencies, a maximizer, and a high pass around 80 Hz at the end of the chain. Check the before and after. For the hi-hat, I used the tube to add a little dirty on the signal, and a compressor to smooth some peaks. Look at the frequency spectrum. As you can see, the plugin chain I put it on generates some annoying low-end frequencies. I want to cut them out, but if I turn on the EQ, it doesn't work, and that's very weird. I tried to move the plugin chain to the channel strip with the EQ at the end of it, but it didn't work. So I put the channel strip in pre-insert mode just by clicking on this icon, and look at that. It seems to work because I don't see the low frequencies anymore. But careful, if I check the signal on the frequency analyzer I put it on the master, I see that nothing has changed. And that's very weird. So, if you are in a situation like this, the best solution is the easiest. Just put an EQ at the end of the insert chain. And as you can see, it works great. I don't know if it's a bug or my limitation as a Cubase user, but if you want to tell something about this topic, or there's Cubase guru out there, please leave a comment, I appreciate. Let's check the drum kit pattern we just created. Very easy. Let's move to the bass. Choose triangle, octave 16, distortion 5, and cut off around 500 Hz. Move to the ADSR, attack 15 milliseconds. Done. Now, to make it sit properly into the mix, I'm gonna check the kick, focusing on low-end frequencies. As you can see, the attack is around 100 Hz, followed by the low-end frequencies around 50 Hz. Let's do the same with the bass. I noticed that the main harmonics are below 100 Hz. Now, in order to make room for the kick and not oversaturate the low end, I should remove the 50 Hz from my bass. But if I just cut it away with an EQ, I'm gonna lose a significant part of the signal. So the solution is to compress that frequency just when the kick intercepts the bass. And the way to do that is with the sidechain compression. So I'm gonna put on the bass a multiband compressor, set the first band around 100 Hz, and turn on the sidechain. Then move to the kick, and in the send section select bass, insert 2, multiband compressor. Set how much signal you want to send to the compressor, and as you can see, now the compressor is triggered by the kick, And that's exactly what I want. For the piano I used the Helion Sonic SE3. I loaded the preset Piano Pickup. I just removed some high-end frequencies and some mud around 300 Hz. The chord sequence is very basic. We have 4 chords: C minor, A flat, E flat and B flat. By the way, check the link in the description for the MIDI file and the Cubase project. Let's move to the lead instrument. Basically, it's a cheap general MIDI sax, but in this song it does the job. I just removed some high-low end frequencies and some mud around 200 Hz. Then I loaded a compressor to uniform the signal. Done. Let's check the whole project. Yeah, the brass section sounds very cool, isn't it? We got a nice pressure and deepness. Well done! And that's all for today, guys. We did a really great job. We explored creative effects, learned how to make room for the instrument and give pressure to our mix. Now it's your turn to apply to your music what we learned today. So, what's the song you want me to break down next? Just leave a comment. And if you like this video, thumbs up, subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated and don't miss any further videos. But don't forget, stay creative and unleash your music!